In this Blender product design tutorial, we're going to create this amazing 3D model from the folks over at Teenage Engineering. It's their new OPXY synth. I love their products, awesome design. And in this video, I'm going to give you some background behind the scenes into how to do product design in Blender. We're going to start with the modeling of this design in this video, and then in future videos, we're going to do all the texturing, the lighting, the animation, so you can add this to your portfolio. I hope you enjoyed the video, and with that, let's get into it. Okay, let's get started with the modeling of this design. I am in a default Blender 4.0 scene. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is just save this. I'm on my 7th version of this tutorial, so if you want to subscribe or like, that would be appreciated. So we're going to get started with the reference images that we're going to use to model from. So I'm going to go to my file explorer here. I've downloaded both of these from the Teenage Engineering website. I'll also link them on my Patreon, so you can just get them there. So I'm going to bring in both of those just by dragging them into the viewport. I have this top view and side view. I'm going to grab this top view one and do Alt G and Alt R. What that's going to do is just reset the rotation and location. Same thing here, Alt G, Alt R, and then I want to do RX and then rotate this by 90, and then RZ and also rotate that by 90. And then now we're just going to kind of get a little bit of our scene set up. I'm going to hit C over here and create a new collection for those called reference. And I'm just going to drag both of those into there. And then we're going to hide this side view for now. So I'm just going to click H to hide it. And then let's just rename this collection here to be our model. Okay, and so in here, I'm just gonna hit C, and we're just gonna, just to be concise, I'm gonna make one called housing. Okay, now the first thing we're gonna do, looking at this, I'll just kind of spell out what I would do if I was gonna create this. I would kind of break this down into components. So the first thing that I wanna make is this outer kind of housing pieces, and then we'll start looking at the keys and all that in a minute. But then the other thing that we wanna take a look at when we're making this housing is if I go into the right-hand view and look at the side view here, there is also like this insert and such. So we're also gonna work on that in a little bit too. So I'm also gonna rename these, which one is which? That's this one, so side view, and this would be top. Okay, I'm gonna re-hide that side one. We're gonna back to the top. Okay, let's get started with making this outer housing. So what we're gonna do is go into our housing collection, Shift A, mesh, cube. I'm gonna use a cube basically as the shape to then evolve into this housing. So I'm gonna go into X-ray mode with Alt Z, and then my tab and edit mode, select everything, and click S to scale. And what I'm gonna do is basically just line up this outer edge with the outer edge of our reference here, just like that. And then SY to only scale it in the Y direction, like that. And then I'm going to basically just line that up on the top edge. Okay. Now, if you notice, it's super, super tall. So I'm going to do SZ and just scale this down pretty close. And now that we have this kind of reference block for the right shape, what I'm going to do is turn on my side image again. And then I'm going to go out of X-ray mode. I'm now going to scale this image down just until, wow, I actually nailed that. I'm just going to scale this down till it just meets these outer edges so that I know that the proportions on this side view are right. And you can kind of basically see it's lining up with this outer edge. I think there's a button on the front. I'm not sure if we'll model that, but yeah, basically just scale your edge or your side view here to match. So now I kind of have those both set. I'm going to re-hide that top one. Okay, I'm going to go back into X-ray mode. And what we're going to do now is the first thing we're going to do is look at our image here. So I'm going to hide this. And if you look at their design, you basically have these switches, but there's basically an inset here, a hole where all those keys and such live. So we're going to create that. So I'm going to unhide our cube. Let's also just name this housing while we got it. And instead of like using the geometry to do that, we're going to use a Boolean modifier, or just a Boolean operation actually. So let's go back into X-ray mode. We're going to add in another cube here. We're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to scale this down. And we basically just want this to line up with the outer edges of this cut in. So if I do like that, and then I grab these vertices, make sure you're in X-ray mode, and then do GX, I can bring this over here just like this, GX, and then make sure you're matching that outer line just like that right there. Perfect. And if I do the same thing on the other side, I can grab those, GX, and then I'm basically just going to follow this curve, make sure it fits right in the corner, and that looks great right there. Perfect. Now what I want to do is, if you go into the right hand view, we're going to A to select everything, S, and then Z to scale this down. And then I'm going to tab back into object mode and then do GZ, just bring this up to something like this. Okay. Now I'm going to go at X-ray mode and just show you kind of what we're doing. We're basically going to cut this cube out of this one, but before we do that, I want it to have the rounded corners. So I'm going to hide both of these. And if you look at this, this has a nice rounded beveled edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them both back on and then grab the cube that we just made. I'm going to tab into edit mode. Let's also hide our housing for a second. Let's tab into edit mode and then in edge select. So hit 2 on your keyboard. And then I'm going to do Control Alt and click that corner edge. And what that does is it grabs all 4 of these. If I go into X-ray mode, you can see that. So now I'm going to use the tilde key, which, you know, you can do different ways in Blender, but if you use the tilde key on my keyboard, it brings up this pie menu. So that's where I go to the top or side views quickly. That's the best way for me to navigate by far in Blender. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a Control B, and what that's going to do is bevel this edge. And then I'm basically just going to bring this up. I'm going to bevel it. If you look in the bottom, you should see a thing telling you how many segments you're doing. I'm going to bring mine up to 10. And then I basically just want to match that bevel pretty closely. So if I do something like that, it's going to be pretty good. And then once I have that, I need to cut this out of the other one. So let's do Alt-H to unhide everything. And then in this housing piece here, let's go to the modifiers, tab into, or click the add, and then click B for Boolean. That's going to be one of the first one that pops up. And then we're going to set it to difference, which just means it's going to subtract out the piece that we select. So you add it to this one, and then you add the Boolean, and then you say, I want to get rid of all this space. And so now if I hide this, you can see that it's cut it in. It's kind of hard to see because that picture is there, but if I hide this reference image, you can see, okay, yeah, it made that divot in there for us. So I'm going to go to it. I'm going to just apply that, and then Alt-H, I'm going to delete the thing that we used to cut. And I'm also going to hide this real quick. So yeah, that's basically how we make that shape. So now what I would do is I would grab this bottom face. Let's do a bevel on that. So if we do Control B, just bring that up. I would scroll all the way down so you know you're just at, you know, basically 2 edges. Give it a nice little bevel. And then I would give this something like 6 segments here. And then let's also do the top edge. So if I click 2 and then Alt, basically, because we Booleaned this, there is a supporting edge right here, so it's not going to go all the way around. So if I do Shift Alt and click this again, that should grab all the edges that we need. And then I would just kind of zoom in to like a corner like this, look at the reference image, and then just roughly make this bevel to be what it needs to be. So using Control B, I would bring that back out to something like either 6 or 8 segments. I'm going to go with 8 here, just like that. And you don't want this to be too big. It just gives you that nice beveled edge there. Okay, now that we've done that, I'm going to go into the top pan view, and we basically created our housing. If I go into X-ray mode and let's turn on our reference image again, what I want to make now is if you zoom in here, let's hide our housing for a second. There are these little LED lights here and also this hole that I want to cut into this geometry. We could do this a couple ways. We could use a Boolean, but I want to do this in a way that is going to be the least amount of damage or potential messing up of our normals and our vertices, the planes and such. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this back on, and then we're going to use a new tool, the knife tool. So I'm going to tab in edit mode, and then, but basically needing to do first is let's bevel these outer edges. So if I do Control Alt, we're going to then go back in X-ray mode. We can go look at our housing, Control B, let's bring that down to something like that. I'm going to do 12 segments here, just like that. Okay, now that we have that, I need basically a rectangular face on this side to where we can use. So if I tab in edit mode here and go to 1, we don't really have a face at all that we can like mess with here. So what I want to do is I want to grab the K for the knife tool, and I want to start at this vertex right here and click X and come all the way over, and then press enter, and then go down to the bottom and do the exact same thing. Click K, click that first vertex, X, and bring it over and press enter. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us this nice rectangular face with basically just 4 vertices on each corner. So if I click 3 to go into face select and then insert here, this face, I can now start doing some messing around with this. I'm going to do GX and kind of just center this up roughly where I think it should go. And now we're going to use some loop cuts to kind of create those features. So I'm going to do Control R. First of all, let's just do 2 in this direction. And then with your transfer and pivot point set to your individual origin, I have this mapped onto my mouse to where I can go to do it in a little pie menu when I hold down that button. I'm going to do SX0. What that's going to do is it's just going to make them perfectly vertical on the y-axis. And then I'm going to set it to the median point. I'm just going to do SX, and that's going to basically bring them into each other just like that. And then you can move them GX if you need to, where you need them. So now we've made these. I want to make some more for the vertical loop cuts. I'm going to do Control R. Let's do 2 at first, and then set it to individual origin, SY0. I'm going to then grab, using 2 and this Alt, let's grab all these that we just made and bring it basically right to the top of that first LED, and then do Alt to select this, GY, bring it right to the bottom of that. And then once you've done that, you should be able to do Control R and just scroll this up until it perfectly aligns in between those LEDs. So that right there looks pretty good to me. And now we can basically use these faces to do what we want. And then if you want these to be a little bit narrower, you could do SX once you've set it to a medium point and do something kind of like that. And then we also might just add in like another loop cut here and here just to give us some more geometry to work with when we cut our things in. And so let's also add 2 more of those. So Control R, 2 loop cuts here, set it to individual origin, SY0, GY to move both of those up. And then let's just click 2 and Alt to grab this, GY, bring it up. And now you kind of have this right here. And then I basically just want these to be a square. So to me, these are thinner, more like an oval shaped. So we're going to do 2 separate things. I'm going to add in 1 more loop cut right here. And then what that's going to let me do is I can then grab these from here and then click Shift to grab these. And then I can just kind of like GX, or let's do SX when they're set to medium point. I just want to make sure that that face right on that circle is a square. That's kind of really all I'm going for. Okay, so now let's get out of X-ray mode and then just click 3. This is that face. If we go back, this is where that hole is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to press I to inset. And then we're going to right click and then subdivide this thing up to 8 number of cuts. And then what that's going to do is we can now then delete those faces. And then if I hold Alt and 2 for edge selection mode and grab all these, I can right click and use loop tools to turn this into a circle. If you don't have those, go to Edit, Preferences, search for loop tools like this, and then enable it. If you don't see that, if you're in like Blender 4.2, it might be in like in your extensions, but it should be pretty easy to get activated. So once you've done that, I'm going to right click and turn this into a circle and basically just scale this in a little bit. And that is, if you also, I pivoted and it went way away. If you need to just click the period on the numpad key, that will recenter you. Then you kind of pivot around it. So now all I would do is do EZ in the Z direction, F to fill, and then Control B to bevel. You can bring that up. I would give this like 6 segments or something. And then if you hold 2 and Alt and Shift and you grab all of your outside edges here, just like this, and then Control B, you can basically bevel that out to this edge right here. I would give this something like 8 segments, keep the bevel pretty small. And then if you shade this auto smooth, you got your nice insert cut out there. So now we're gonna basically do the same thing for these other ones. If I go back into X-ray modes, basically all these faces here, we're gonna do a little bit different because I kind of want these to be an oval shape. So let's do I and then I again. If you click it twice, that will inset them all on their own face. Once you do that, let's right click, subdivide. Let's set this to 8. And then X, delete the faces. And then I'm going to click 1. And I'm basically just going to kind of center this up on my computer and grab all of these vertices in the middle. So just box select, drag, grab all these vertices, and then press 2. And now what we could do is we could go right click and do loop tools and make a circle. But I want to use this other tool, which is basically Alt, Shift, and S. And then if you drag your, well, let's mess up first. First, we need to set it to individual origin. But then if you do Alt, Shift, S, you can basically move from a square to a circle. And so I don't want to go all the way to a circle. I want to kind of leave it just slightly before we get there. And what that's going to do is if I do that and then click, I could also SX and kind of bring those in. And that's basically going to make a little bit more of a oval shape. So then I'm going to put period on my numpad key to focus on them. I'm going to go E and Z to come down. I'm going to hit F to fill that, Alt Z to go back in to solid mode, Control B to bevel that. We would just do something maybe like that. And one thing we can try, I actually don't remember if this is how this works or not. So this is just me playing around now. If I click 2 and then use loop tool and then relax, that will give you a little bit nicer of a shape. So let's do that. And then let's EZ and then F. And let's do Control B. I would just bring this down till it's basically a twofer, bring it up to 6. And then what I want to do is I want to reselect all those loops, but instead of clicking them all, a way we can do that is if I go into right hand view and then Control plus to grab those vertices. And then in this view, I would just click C for the basically like the brush select, bring this radius up and then hold my middle mouse down. And then I'm just going to get rid of all those. And then now I basically got those selected. So I'm going to go out of X-ray mode. Let's do Control B for a bevel. Let's scroll down till we get something. We just need just a little bit to catch the highlights that there's something there. And then I'm going to scroll this up to around 8. Nice. So now we've got those added in. Great. So that's basically all we're going to do for the kind of the top side and the housing. The only other thing that we need to do now is add in that side insert piece. So let's go ahead and just take a look at that. If I go into right hand view, also it looks like we moved this potentially. I can't remember when I did that, but let's recenter this back up on our model here. And then also let's do our beveled edge here. So we need to take care of that. So let's kind of help our geometry out a little bit. Let's go here and do a K from this vertex. I'm gonna click 1 just so we can see what we're doing. So I'm gonna click K. I'm gonna grab this vertex in the Y direction, put that there. And then let's right click. And then that will let you go here. Let's do the same thing. Move this in the Y, put that here, right click here in the Y. And then it's kind of confusing, but left click and then right click to get to your next thing. And then here, click. And then let's also do one from here up to here, like that. And we could probably honestly merge these two. That would probably be a really good idea. So let's click enter to do that. And then let's click 1, grab this vertex and this vertex. Click M and then merge at last, and that's basically going to just bring that to that point. And what we're trying to do is just kind of give us a nicer edge when we try to bevel to kind of help us out here. So the other thing that I would probably do is I would probably try to grab this one here, come down to the Z and press enter. And then let's just check if over here if there's anything we need to do. I would do the same thing over here, K, let's go Z to bring this down, press enter. And then let's go to the top view again. Let's bring this one in the X direction, just like we did on the other side. Let's bring this one out. Let's bring this one out. And if it doesn't want to snap, if it keeps trying to move it, if you just bring it past and then click, it'll put it in that same point. And then let's right click again, here, click, enter. And then just like that other one, just to kind of help our flow, let's do M, merge at last, and that's going to help that out there. Okay, now I'll try to grab these bevels. If I do 2 and press Alt, I'm going to basically just try to grab this whole edge all the way around, just like this. And all the way back to here. And grab this one. Oop, that one didn't work. If it tries to grab the wrong loop, use Control instead of Alt, and then it'll just do the next closest one. And then in the model, it basically has a chamfer. So what I want to do now is do Control B, scroll my wheel all the way down to 1, and then just bring this up to something like this that looks good. And then I'm going to grab all of these edges holding Control again. So I'm going to come all the way around like this, all the way back around the model to here. That one messed up, so do Control Z to there. Perfect. And then I'm going to do Shift and click here. That will give me a new place to start. And now I'm just holding Control, going all the way around, just like that. Make sure you've got all these, because if you miss them, you are going to be regretting it. Perfect. So now I'm doing Control B. Let's just bring that out a little bit. I'm going to bring this up to probably 6 segments, and I want just enough bevel to give us a nice little highlight there. Great. So now you've got this chamfer, but then the chamfer is awful beveled, so it looks super nice. So now let's go to the bottom. The last thing we need to do for the housing before we do the cut in with the Boolean is grab this bottom face. We're going to do Control B, use this chamfer as your guide. Control B, scroll all the way back, basically meet that same size. Your reference image is right there, so it should kind of help you get that size correctly. And then these don't have any weird geometry, so these you can just hold Alt and Shift and grab those perfectly. And then use that bevel that you just made up there kind of as your guide again for how much to do. And then I'm going to do 8 segments here, just like that. Okay, that is basically the entire housing. The only thing that we got to do now is if I hide this housing piece, you can see there's basically this like inset here. So we're going to do one more Boolean operation. So what I want to do now is let's go to the top view. in our housing collection, let's do Shift A and add in another cube. I'm just going to do GX and bring it over here with X-ray mode enabled, line it up. And now what I want to do is I'm going to leave the housing part hidden, and I'm basically trying to line it up to this gray thing right here. I'm going to use the draw tool so you can see. In the images, you'll basically see something like this. So basically what I want to do is I want to make this shape that we're going to cut into it. So I'm going to just erase that real quick. Okay. So I'm going to do, let's put that back with Alt-G, then GX and bring that back over so it's in the center. So now I'm going to tab in edit mode, scale everything down. I'm using this line right here to be my point, and then SZ to bring it down in the Z direction. SZ, I think I went out of some, yep, I went into there by mistake. So go back into solid. Now I'm just going to grab these top ones and then do GZ and just bring it down manually, just like this. And then line up those bottom ones in the exact same manner. So go grab GZ. It's really hard to see in this image where that ends. I think it's somewhere around here, but just do your best with what you got. And then GY, line that up on the outer edge. Sweet. It's way too thick. I don't want it to cut in that far, so I'm going to do SX and scale it down just like that. And then just like our other Boolean, let's put back our housing, get it out of X-ray mode. I want these bevels to be cut in, so let's grab these edges, doing 2, and then Control Alt and click. I'm going to hide the housing again, go into the right-hand view, go into X-ray mode, and then grab this, tab into edit mode for this piece, and then Control B. Oop, I didn't select the right thing. Grab this, tab into edit mode, Control B, and then use that guide right there. I'm going to do at least 10 segments here, like that. Perfect. And then we're going to put back our housing, go out of X-ray mode so we can see what we're doing. Like just our workflow before, we want to cut out this one, so we add a Boolean to it. We set it to difference because we want to cut something out, and then we tell it what we want to cut out, which is this. Make sure it is set to exact. And then I'm just going to hover over it and do Control A. And then now I can delete this, and we have this geometry cut in. Now I will say there is a plane here or something that looks weird. That is your image. So let's just hide the top view for now while we're working on this. The next thing I want to do is let's bevel this inside face here. So Control B, I'm going to bring it all the way down, and then let's just do like 6. We could even do 4. You're never going to see this really. So just do 4 segments there, and then do 2 and Alt to select this. Now what's going to happen here is depending on where it puts your edges, it's going to try to select this as your loop, but we don't want these 2 edges. We want this edge. So now you've got all those selected here. Excuse me. So I'm going to just go Control B to bevel that. I'm going to scale it all the way down. Also, one thing that would be good for us to do is these are angled, which could potentially mess up your bevel. So let's do GY and just bring those in line with those other ones, just like that. And then this other connecting one down here, let's do the same thing, GY. Perfect. So now if I do Alt and I click 2, I grab it, it's going to do that same thing where it tries to grab these 2. I'm going to deselect them. I'm going to use Shift to also select this one. So now I kind of have my whole loop. Let's do Control B for a bevel. I'm going to bring it all the way back out to 2 just to get whatever size I think looks good. Scroll it up. Let's go with 12 segments here. I want this to be pretty tight because I'm really wanting this to help control the normals on this side of the controller. So let's do 12. And nice. This is looking really, really good. This is going to be super nice. Okay, so let's go in the right-hand view. And the next thing that we're going to do is let's create the plane, or basically this insert. So if I hide this housing, we need to create this piece. And instead of trying to do it from that geometry that we already had, I think it's going to be good if we try to do this using some Booleans and also some plain, just regular stuff. So what I want to do now is let's turn back on our top reference. Let's do Shift A. Let's add in just a plane, and then let's tab into edit mode RY90, and then I'm going to do GY or GX and bring this over. Let's turn back on our housing, and then basically what I'm going to do is let's grab this new plane that we add and scale it down, and then I'm going to align it with, also let's shade this auto smooth. Yeah, it's looking so good. So if we tab in edit mode on this, I'm going to scale this up, and I'm basically going to go just until this gray kind of part where I can see where that bevel has started, just like that. And then we're going to go check it on the other side. It looks like it's slightly off-centered, so I'm going to do GY. It's actually going to be really close. It doesn't matter. We can fix it in a second. And then tab into edit mode, SZ, bring it down close. Let's grab that top edge, GZ to bring it down. The exact same thing. I'm just going to line it up where that dark edge starts for that bevel. Same thing with the bottom edge. So then GZ, bring that up just like that. GZ here. Okay. So now we kind of have a little bit nicer geometry that we can create that insert with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab out of edit mode and hide this housing. And then let's go back into the right hand view, get into X-ray mode, and then let's get into it. So I played with doing this some different ways. What I'm going to try to do now is use kind of a different workflow with using Booleans, but then also using the geometry beforehand to kind of set up a good region for it to cut out of. So to do that, I know that there's 6 plugins here and they each need 2 supporting loops. So I'm going to scroll up until I see 12 cuts, just like that. And then what I basically am going to do now is just grab each of these GY and center them kind of around the piece here. Okay, and then just to kind of help this out, also let's do 2 here. Let's set the medium point and then SY, just, oop, not Y, SZ, bring those up just like that. Okay, now this is gonna be a difficult shape, these 2 to create with our little technique that we did before, but these 3 are just circles, or these 4, excuse me. So let's do S and the Z and make sure they look square. Also, it's so much easier for some reason to see if they're square when you're not in X-ray mode. So I'm just going to do just like that to where it looks square. Then let's grab these faces with the circles, same as we did before. Let's inset them. It looks like they still might not be perfect circles. So I'm going to do SY. Make sure you're set to individual origin, SY. It doesn't actually matter because we're fixing to turn it into a perfect circle. So let's just subdivide them. Let's do at least 8 for this, and then X, delete the faces, and then the same trick as before. I'm going to click 1. I'm going to grab all of these vertices, click 2 to go to edge mode, right click, loop tool, circle. I'm going to hit S to scale down, just like that. If you want to move any of them, you can. For me, I don't really care. This looks close enough. And then I'm going to hit period to zoom into them. I'm going to go EX to extrude it backwards, F to fill. And then I'm going to go out of X-ray mode with Alt-Z, Control-B. I'm going to bring that down to 2. And then for this, I would probably just do something like 6 segments in the bottom. And then same trick as before. Let's go into top hand mode. Let's do Control plus to get back to those vertices that we want. Let's go into X-ray mode and then use C to then deselect the ones that we just made. Period to zoom in again. 2 to go into edge mode. Control B. Now let's bevel these just like that. I wouldn't go too close to your edge, and I would also give this a pretty high number. So let's go with at least 10, but I'd recommend probably 8 here. And then you can right click shade auto smooth or shade smooth. There is going to be a little bit of pinching when we do this way. This is why I also could potentially see us trying it with a Boolean in a second. So let's go ahead and try the Boolean workflow also. So what I want to do now is I want to have a piece come in right here. So let's just do it this way. I'm going to right click in the center of this right here. And then we're going to tab, or actually let's do Shift A and add in a new cylinder. And then I'm going to set this to be 48. And then I'm going to tab in edit mode, scale this way down. I'm going to do RY90. And basically I just want this to be the same height as this plugin right here, just like that. So now if I go into vertice mode with 1 and then do GY and bring that back to right here, I'm going to select all of these vertices. And so I'm in X-ray mode. And then if I click Y, that's basically going to duplicate them and shear them at the same time. So if I go GY now, I can bring them over. That doesn't delete some of these vertices here, as you can see. So I'm going to just go through now and just grab these and delete the vertices. And then what I would do is grab both of these, fill that, grab both of these and fill that. Grab 2 to go to edge mode, Alt select this one and fill, Alt select this one and fill. And then now we can kind of do a Boolean. And then like I did want to have to where there is this supporting geometry around it. So now if we grab this, I'm just going to go GX, bring it back. Make sure that you're still within your plane, just like that. We could grab this one, do a Boolean, a difference, subtract this, exact, apply, delete, and that should give you these nice corner edges here. So yeah, same thing as before, hold Alt, grab both of those, EX, bring that back just like that. And then I would fill those, and then that's giving you some super weird shading. Let's shade auto smooth. Grab this plane here, Control B to bevel it. I would scroll it back just to where you can see, and let's give this at least 6. And then same thing here, Alt, grab this, Control B to bevel, bring it back. Just enough to where you catch a highlight. I would do 8 segments here. Perfect, just like that. And that looks really good. You can see there's almost no shading errors here. So I actually want to try this real quick. Let's just delete all these and see what it would have looked like if we did a Boolean here. If I delete those faces and then I grab that, fill it in, go into X-ray mode, place something here, Shift A, add in a cylinder, 48 should be plenty, RX or RY 90, scale it way down. We basically just line it up with what we got right here. I just want to see if that's going to be better for the shading. There's actually not much shading going on at all right here. Also, I would resave your file. And then I usually save incremental a lot of times, as long as the file's not too big. That just makes a duplicate. I name my numbers 1 through whatever. Typically I'll have like whatever project -1 or something. But yeah, let's just try this. Let's click this. Let's add a Boolean. Let's make it exact. Let's subtract this out. Let's do Control A. Let's delete it. That didn't make geometry back here, which is fine, but we could basically grab these, EX, F to fill, Control B, 2, Alt, grab both of these, Control B, bring that out, something like that. That looks pretty good. We can go over here and go to like a matte cap view. So if you go to here, turn on matte cap and do this like paint automotive one, we can kind of look at the shading errors based on that. They're honestly pretty close. I don't really guess it matters which one you want to go with. Just do whichever one you want to do. You could also go through here and like create some supporting edges and ways for this to pinch. Like I think a good way to do this potentially would be like connecting some of these points to here and then going out. For me, this looks plenty good from the distance I'm going to do it, so I'm not really going to fool with it. Same thing on here. This has got a little bit of shading errors you can see from that pinching going on. So let's just go back out of our matte cap into studio lighting. I think doing things like clicking K and then, going up here could potentially help with some of your shading. I bet if I even went all the way up to the top. So I think if you went around this edge, clicked K, and then in the Z went up here for all those. Let's just do a couple and see if that changes anything. It might or it might not. Looks like I missed that one. It might have helped a little bit. And I think you could go through and fix it more, but for me, I'm going to be this far away. I would try to get rid of as much pinching as possible, but like I said, for this tutorial, I'm probably not going to go too deep into that. So, okay, that's basically that shape. Let's do the exact same thing with our last shape here. This one is a little bit different. I'm going to do Control R and bring me 2 supporting loops here. And then basically, I think this face is like lowered GZ like this in the actual model. So like I can't really tell if that's how it is. I'm just going off of what I see here. I would do that. And then let's do Shift S, cursor to selected. That's going to put our piece right here. I would just do, for this shape, let's just do another cube, scale it down to the size that we think we need, S and a Z, just like that. And then I would do 2, or actually let's scale in X. We don't need it that thick. GX to bring it over. And then let's do 2 to grab these, Control Alt, click that. Use the reference image kind of as our guide, Control B, just something that looks good, whatever you think. I'm going to do 12 segments. I'm going to do something that kind of looks like that. And I'm going to I want mine to be a little bit bigger. So let's scale this not in the X direction. So Shift X and then bring this up just a little bit. And then I just want to see if that falls in there. So then let's take this and do SZ, bring that up just a little bit, give us some room. And then let's try one more bevel here, or one more Boolean. Grab this Boolean modifier. We want to subtract out this piece, set it to exact, apply it, delete that, and now you kind of got that set up. We can go 2 to grab this piece here, E, X, F to fill, Control B to bevel that in there. Like I said, I usually do about 4 or 6 right here. I usually do even numbers also. Grab each of these loops, Control B. I don't want to go too far with this. I think the further you go out, the more it's going to show up in a shading error. So I'm just going to do something kind of like this and then do 8. Bam, that looks really good. Like I said, there's definitely some pinching going on, but for what we're doing, this is going to be plenty of detail. The last thing that I need to do is we're going to kind of bevel these corner edges. So let's do Control R to give me enough space to kind of move some of this stuff around. Control R again. And then I'm going to do 1. Let's grab both of these and do S and the Z. Something like that. Same thing here, S to Z. Doesn't really matter what we got going on here. I just want to be able to bevel this and not have intersection. So I'm just kind of giving myself some room. SZ. Actually, let's do both of these just to be fancy. SZ. And then like maybe bring these back. GY. Okay. Now we can just grab each of these vertices in the corners. So holding shift, select them all just like that. Control B, V, make sure you click after that so that you're beveling the vertices. And then I'm just going to bring that down to something that looks pretty close. I'm going to give this plenty of resolution here. So I'm going to go 16. And then now what we can basically do is select all this outer edge. I'm just holding Alt and Shift to grab everything. You could also use Control, which I'll do right now just to demonstrate that it works. And then I'm going to do EX to bring it back. I'm going to do F to fill. I'm not going to see that at all, so I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. So now we can do Alt H. And then we're just going to bring this back with GX, just like so. And then I'm going to go into this view right here and just kind of see how it fits. GX to bring it back. I don't want it to be too deep. I'm also going to hide this image that's kind of messing with me here. Nice. That looks good. And then obviously one thing that we could do is if you wanted to use a bevel modifier and make sure that these bevels exactly match, that would be a really good idea. But like I said, for what I'm doing, this right here looks perfectly aligned. It looks really good. So now you got that detail. You could also go in here and like, you know, deepen this. So like if you wanted this whole thing to be back deeper, you grab all these faces, GX, or it looks like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, our other face. If we tab into edit mode on this, Alt Z, and then 1, you could kind of just grab whatever you want. You can make this however deep you want it to be, GX, like this, you know? And then like if you wanted there to be like a plugin here, for example, like I would grab this face. Oh, that didn't grab what I wanted. Never mind. Let's bring that back. But you could grab this face and inset it and like bring it down, GZ, and then extrude it out and Control B and like bevel it. And then that could be like your little plug thing in there. So just do that if you want to. I'm probably not going to have any versions of this, which you could see on mine. So I'm just going to back out of all that. Okay. All right. That is basically the housing. It looks really good, like I said. And that same thing applies to here. If you wanted to grab these bottom faces of these and then Shift D to duplicate and then P by selection, that would let you grab these and then you could then like animate them to be LEDs. We may do that later on in the course, but I'm just going to try to keep this video somewhat short for now. So, okay, we've now made it to the end of this housing. Now, basically, if I go into X-ray view and turn back on our top, we've got all our housing done. And now what we're going to do is kind of create all of these keys. So what I'm going to do for that is let's go ahead and model one of these keys right here in the corner first. So what I'm going to do is let's create a new collection inside of our model called keys here. My caps lock is on, so let's do keys. Okay. And then what I want to do basically is we're just going to go right in the middle of this area, do Shift and right click. That's going to put our 3D cursor there. I'm going to do Shift A, add in a cube. So I'm going to tab in edit mode, scale it down. And then I'm basically just matching, just like we've done before, those outer edges. So if I go to the outer edge of both of those, and I know that these are square, so I shouldn't really want to move things in any direction like when I'm in edit mode. I just kind of want these to be perfectly square and lined up here. Something like that looks good to me. Okay, and then once I've done that, let's go over here to edit mode. Let's just do Alt Z. Let's grab this and bring this up to, it's kind of hard to see, but this is the bottom of where I beveled that out before. And then let's go ahead and just bevel that. Actually, no, we're not gonna do that first. Let's come up here, out of X-ray mode. I'm gonna do the same trick that we've used to make circles before. I'm gonna click I to inset just barely. I'm going to, actually let's do one more I to inset again, and then let's do X, or actually right click, subdivide. Let's set this to 8. X to delete the faces, 2, Alt to grab all of these right here, and then loop tool to make a circle, scale it down just like that, and then that's going to be basically the base of that key. And so now what I kind of want to do is we can also bevel these outer edges. So I do Control Alt and grab this and then go into top view and then into X-ray mode. Also, we might need to click 2 and grab this loop and scale it down just a little bit to give us enough room for our bevel. So then if I do, like I said before, Control Alt, grab this edge right here. We're going to go into top view. I'm going to go into X-ray mode, Control B to bevel, bring that back. That should be fine if it intersects, but I'm just going to do it right there. Looks like the other one to me. That would be good. And then I'm going to do 2 to Alt to grab this edge. I'm just going to bevel it. You won't really see it, so I'm just going to bring it up to like something like pretty small. And let's just do 4 segments here, just like that. And then we can also bevel this top edge, Control B, bring that up. I want these to kind of be nice and big. I like seeing the rounded highlights here, just like that. And then now what we can do is we can grab each of these here, and then let's go into the right hand view. I'm gonna click 1 and grab everything, bring that down till it matches that keycap height, just like that. And then click 2 and Alt to select all these edges, and then right in the right hand view do EZ to bring that up, and then S to scale. And basically what I want to do is just kind of follow the contour that we get from these images. And it looks like I'm shifted a little bit. So let's grab our image plane and then do GY and just bring this over just a bit to kind of help me see where I'm at. Okay, and then I'm going to do E and Z and then just keep kind of doing that and using the S to scale to follow the contour of your keycaps. Just like that, ES. Pressing all the buttons here. I don't know what I just did. Oh, I extruded twice. EZ, S. I'm going to go EZ and just extrude straight up for this last one. F to fill. And then out of X-ray mode, Control B to do that. Bring it all the way down. I'm going to give this 6. And if we right click, shade auto smooth, that is your basic keycap. And so now what I want to do is I want to basically duplicate this all the way around. So I'm also seeing, it looks like it might be a little shifted higher. So let's do GY and bring it down just a smidgen. That looks perfect. Okay, what I want to do is basically use an array modifier to evenly space these all over. So let's add our first array modifier. And then I'm going to, it's going to be really hard to get it perfectly precise on this one. So the good trick is to just go all the way out to here, right? And then I know it's going to be roughly 0.045, I think it was when I did this before. Let's try 1.025, 1.2. 1.1. So we're still spaced too far. So let's go 1.05. Okay, we're close. Now I'm just going to really kind of tweak these. I want these to be super exact. So let's go 1.025, 1.03, 1.04, 1. We could also probably just like drag this, but it's such small increments that it's going to be difficult. So if I put it at 1.35, that's really close. 1.033. Let's do that for now and then just see how it goes. So I'm going to use 1.033 and then let's add a second array modifier and then 0 on the X and then 1.033 in the Y and just see what that looks like. And then bring it up all the way to the top. Nice. Let's go. It looks like it may be, let's hide this one. Looks like it might be a little short. Let's go 1.0335. That didn't do anything. 1.034. Oh, this is the wrong one. 1.034. 1.0335. Yep, I'm doing 1.0335. I'm going to do that for both of them. Sweet. So now that basically fills up your entire keyboard. And I know that we're not going to use all of these in this manner, but I'm just going to go ahead and apply them both anyway. And then we're going to tab in edit mode, A to select everything, P, and then separate by loose parts. And what that basically does is now all my keys are there. So I'm going to grab all of these. This is going to be kind of hard to see, but let's just duplicate this, Shift D and the X over here. I'm now going to grab all the keys that I know aren't, also let's click all of our keys. So if I click this selection and then right click and then do S, that selects all my objects. I'm then going to right click and then actually I have to select one and make sure one of them's orange, but then right click and then do set origin to geometry and hold Alt when you do this so that when I click, it's going to basically put the origin of each one. So looking through here, I know that I'm not going to need any of these right here. So if I select all of these, the easiest way to do that is probably just going to be to grab them just like this. Because I'm also going to grab the housing and stuff if I didn't do that. So I'm just going to delete these because I know that that's going to be different sizes and shapes. And then we're also going to have to make some doubles here. So I know that on the bottom, I'm going to need to delete. So these two are going to stay. Let's just delete each of these where it's a double. Oop, that one stays. Let's grab this one and delete it. This one, delete it. Let's see where else it stays here. I think I'm just going to delete all these here because these are all different. And then are there any doubles in any of that? This is also a double, but we'll fix that later. Okay. So now what I want to do is we need to create on most of these, I want to create them to have this little inset here for the LED light. So what I'm going to do is let's grab all the ones that need an LED light. So looking through here, this whole row from basically this one to here needs an LED light. This entire row all the way to the left edge needs an LED light. And then starting down here, we're not worried about this row for now because I'm going to have to go back and fix all those. And then on the bottom, it looks like starting here all the way across also needs an LED. Great. I think that should be it. Let's double check before I go too far here. Yep, I think that's it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tab in edit mode. And then what I'm going to do is let's click 3 to go into face select, Shift G, and then select similar area. And then it's going to select a bunch of stuff, but if we change this threshold to like 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and then a 1, it's just going to select this. And now what I want to do is let's just zoom in on kind of 1 right here. I'm going to do Alt Z. I'm going to I to inset this face and then do G, Y to bring it up just like that where that key is. And then you can click S, make sure you're on individual origins while you're doing this. I'm basically going to scale that the way I want it to be. And then I'm going to go out of X-ray mode just so I can see what I'm doing. Right click, extrude face along normal. I'm just going to bring it down, not super deep. And then I'm going to, while I've got both of this selected, I'm going to click both of these or Control Z. Now I've still got all these bottom ones selected. Let's give those a tiny bevel. So Control B, don't go crazy with it. I'm going to hold Shift where it doesn't go too far. And then I'm just going to do 4 segments, make a real small bevel here. And then just like before, Control plus, and then go into right hand view, Alt Z, and then just deselect all these lower vertices here. Just like that should do it. Wait, I think I'm in the wrong mode. Let's go back, click 1. Yeah, that's what I want. Just gonna make sure I deselect all of those. Out of X-ray mode, make sure I've got them all selected still, click 2. Let's add a tiny bevel to that. Real small. I would do something like 6 segments here. Just try to match that bottom one. Okay, so now all those have that nice little indentation. And then what I would do is, let's do the same thing where we grab this face, 3, and then let us do Shift G by area. That's gonna grab all those pieces again. We're going to Shift D and duplicate them. and then separate by selection. And then what that's going to do is I can then grab basically these here. And also I didn't want to lose my selection. Let's go Control Z all the way back. Let's grab all those, separate by selection. I should just make them all the same piece. Huh. Okay, let's do it a different way. Let's grab all those, go back. Okay. Do 3, select that, Shift G by area. And then let's do Shift D and the Z. Just bring them up here where I can actually see them. And then let's make sure that's all we have selected. Do P by selection. Tab out edit mode, and then those are super hard to see, but if you grab them all just like that, I'm gonna right click, set origin to geometry, and then for these let's just add a solidify modifier. So click here and then S for solidify, and then bring that up. Oh, we're on the wrong thing here. I'm gonna hide these reference images here. Yeah. And then if we go into the right hand view, all these pieces are right in here. So I'm just going to click one, right click, set origin to geometry, holding Alt, and then add a solidify modifier, crank that up. And then we should be able to do let's do right click or Control L, copy modifiers. That's going to make them all here. That will at least let me see what we got going on. And then if I select all these and hold Alt, I can then just kind of bring this down to be a little button here. And then we could do GZ to bring that down. Just like that, make it flush and even. And then we can also add a bevel. So if we add in a bevel modifier, and we're basically gonna have to bring this way down for it to do anything. And this needs to be after the solidify. Actually, let's just do this a different way. Well, this is fine. So now all those have that piece that you can then go back and add. Oh, that's why I'm only doing it to this one again. So let's just delete this. And also while we have these selected, let's move these to a new collection inside here called LEDs. That way I can go up here and I can just grab, if I deselect them, I can just grab those pieces again. And then if we add a bevel, and then bring this way down and set this to like 6. And then I should be able to do Control L, copy modifiers, and that's going to make them all that way. And then they all look a little small. So I'm going to tab, click A, individual origin S, and then do Shift Z just to where, wrong thing. I'm going to do S, Shift Z, and I'm just going to bring them up so they kind of match a little bit more closely like that. Nice. So now all of your keys have a little LED in it. Okay, let's go back into X-ray mode. Let's turn on our reference image. Okay, we need to make these duplicate pieces here. So what I'm going to do is let's just grab this and this right here. And then let's do Shift D. Let's bring it down in the Y direction to where it just matches up in the corners. Just like that. And now what I want to do is I'm going to grab both of them, tab into edit mode. And then basically what I need is I need all the vertices left, or like just this part. This is kind of hard to explain, but let's grab one and then let's grab all of these vertices here and let's get all the way to the edge of this one, just like that. Click C, grab this. So now I'll go out of X-ray mode and I'll go GX. I'm just going to bring this over and I'm just going to line that up with that one right there, just like that, just using that reference. And then you can see we kind of have this pinching shader error, so I'm going to go into the top and then click here and then X, and I'm going to do the same workflow as I did before, just giving this some reference on how to make this shade flat pretty much. Just bring those over. Now if I press enter and tab out edit mode, that looks awesome. Okay, And now this is basically all we need. The only thing that we can do is that we're going to have to duplicate this in round. Because I've already got that cut, I'm just going to make one more like kind of right hand facing one. So let's grab both of these, Shift D and the Y, bring it down. I'm going to use the reference image to make sure I'm the right height. And then the exact same thing as we did before, except this time we're going to pull it this way. Actually, this needs to be over here. GX, just like so. And then the exact same thing as we did before. Alt-Z, make sure you have both selected when you're doing this, because we need to basically edit both of them. And then Alt-Z, let's click C, grab all of these vertices out to the edge. I actually grabbed the wrong ones, so do Control-I, out of X-ray mode, GX, bring it over. Just like that, looks good to me. And then same thing as before, click K for the knife tool, X to bring it over, right click in between, and let's just connect these to kind of help out our shader. Click enter. Nice. Okay, so now I'm just gonna grab, I need 1, 2, 3 more of these. So let's do Shift D and X. And I'm gonna try to get it pretty close here, because what I can then do is do Shift R and R, and that's gonna kind of do 2 more, and then I can just kind of place these right where they need to go. Just like that. Grab both of these here. Just like that. And then what I need is 2 more of these here and here and here, actually 3. So Shift D and X. Let's just get this one perfect before we move on. Shift D and X again. Just like so. Shift D and X again. GX. Matching up all these edges here just like that. Great. And then the last thing we need to do is basically fill in those last 2 holes. So let's grab this one, just Shift D in the Z or in the Y. Line it up like that, and then GX to bring it over, fill in that gap. Just like that. And then Shift D and X also here. Just like that. Sweet. All right, we have got a super sick looking model going on now. We've got all the ones that have LEDs, equipped with LEDs that we can go back and play with. So now we basically just have these last key sets up here, and this 3D model is done. So also, if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. I'm wanting to be able to do this more full time, and as many viewers and appreciation I can get will be very much appreciated. So if you could do that, that would be super helpful. So now what I'm going to do is let's just kind of duplicate some of this geometry here. So let's just Shift D, grab this in the middle. I'm just going to click 3 to tab into this. I'm going to delete all these faces down to this last one. X, delete the faces. And then I'm just going to do 1 Alt Z, and I want to make sure that I use kind of just the corners. So let's grab both of these corners and then GX to bring them over. Basically, I want to keep this bevel. I'd make sure I don't want to deform it at all. So I'm going to put this here. And then C, grab, or do Alt A, grab both of these, GX, bring that over to this edge, like so. And then same thing with the top ones, just like that, GY, bring it up. Basically just don't want to have to remodel everything, so let's just try to reuse what we got. And then C, get rid of that, click that and that, GY, bring it down. I'm gonna go out of X-ray mode just so I can kind of see what this edge looks like. And that looks beautiful. So now if I grab this middle point here, I'm just going to click S to scale it up. And I want it to be just on there. Also looks like this could stand to move a little bit. So I'm just going to go GX and bring it over. And then GY and bring it slightly up. Just try to center that up there. Sweet. I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to click E, Z to extrude it down. Just click F to fill it. And it's kind of hard to see because of this image. So let's just hide this image real quick. Control B to bevel that edge. I'm going to do a small bevel of 6 segments. And then same thing on top. Grab each of these edges. Control B. We're just going to give that also a small little bevel, just enough to catch the shadows or the highlights. That looks gorgeous. Make sure it's set to auto smooth. I'm going to bring back my reference image. Now we're just going to do, these are all going to be the same. So let's do Alt D in the X, basically just make a duplicate, try to save ourselves some geometry here. And then I just basically want to line this up just like that. And I'm going to do Shift RR and bam, you got those set. Okay, let's model this super awesome little keycap. I know that was something that I missed that people were asking for in the last video. So what we basically have here is just a circle, and then we're just going to extrude it up. I'm going to leave the keycaps as a separate object just because it will allow you to basically change that. The rest of them will be the same. They're going to be pretty dense on geometry, and I don't want to waste that geometry. So to do that, let's just click into the middle of this, do Shift S, cursor to selected, do Shift A, add in a mesh cylinder. Let's set this to at least 72. We're going to scale this way down like so, just inside of that other one. I'm going to go into X-ray mode, just bring this up right to there, the bottom of that. GZ to bring just this top edge down to here. I'm going to look at my reference image real quick. Yeah, it's got a nice little beveled edge here. So let's go ahead and bevel that edge. Control B. Let's scroll down. Let's give this 8 segments like that. Make sure we're shading auto smooth. Okay. Then we're going to add X-ray mode or into X-ray mode. Let's kind of build up this base. I'm also going to look at the right hand. It looks like it's kind of shallow and then it builds up to this bigger one. So let's do this. Let's click here to inset this face, and then we're going to go right into X-ray mode and EZ to extrude this up. I'm going to go into X-ray. Let's grab all these faces right here and do S Shift Z and just roughly bring that out to here. And then I want to grab these GZ to bring it up to here. And then I want to EZ to extrude basically up to this next point right here, kind of ish. I'm going to do roughly to this, like where there would be a bevel right here. And then let's grab all of these with Alt, and then out of X-ray mode, if you just do right click extrude face along normal, let's do something like that. And let's give all of these edges a bevel, the ones that we're going to see at least. So let's do all that, Control B. I'm going to bring them basically as big as you can kind of get them, or not as big as you can get them. Let's do something about halfway. And I'm still on 8 segments, that should be plenty. That looks really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this face, extrude along the Z up to kind of the same idea as before, right where that place would be, and then EZ again, like that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to grab all these. We're going to do the same thing, extrude it along the normals, bring it out to roughly that size as that bottom one. Now we get to add our cool little knob details. Let's do Control R and bring that up until they match. Looks like that right there is pretty close to the same number of, let's bring it down. Is it there? That right there is basically 1 per each of them, which I like. Well, let's do this. I want to do Control R and then do Control B. I want to give myself just a little bit of a gap right there. And then let's do Control R and make these to be squares, essentially. That right there looks awesome to me. Now I'm going to go out of X-ray mode, click 3. We're going to grab all of these faces right here, go out of X-ray mode. I'm going to click I to inset them, just like that. Right click, extrude face along normal. Just bring those out a little bit here. Something like that. I'm going to scale them down, make sure you're on individual origins here, like that. And then what I would do is Control plus to get down to this point, and then do Control B. Scroll your wheel down because there's a lot of segments. And then I would just give those a nice little bevel just like that. Oh yeah, so now you got that grippy little detail going on there. Let's grab each of these edges right here and bevel those. And then I'm also going to take this face and scale it down because I kind of want this to be a big bevel here. So let's just bevel this first, Control B, something like that. And then this one's going to be a bigger bevel, so Alt, Control B, just like that. And let's give this 8 segments. Nice. And then the last thing that we will do is I'm just going to go into X-ray and just kind of see this other piece. Alt Z, 3, Alt Z, I'm just going to scale this in just like that. And then easy. Not going to see that edge, but I am going to bevel this one. Like I said, this is pretty high poly. You don't really have to go through this many vertices if you don't want to make all these. You could use a texture to do this too. I just wanted to see a nice little grippy texture. So, okay. Last thing I'll do is just give this a bevel because we are using auto smooth. Nice. And then we can just do, I don't want to shift D on these because they are really heavy. Do Alt D and X and then basically just line that perfectly up and put those in there. And then if you did mess it up slightly, you can just go back and shift D or GX and just kind of move those right into the center. Looks like I went a little bit too far that way. Okay. Very cool. The last thing we're going to do is create these little keycaps. Let's add in another cylinder. Scale it way down. Alt Z, S, right to the edge of that little white cap. We're going to GZ to bring it up. Like so. I don't want it to extend all the way down. I'm just going to bring it just below to where we created that little spot there. Click 2 to grab that. Control B. Nice big bevel to match kind of what they have. I didn't put enough segments. Control B. Just like that. I'm going to do 10 segments. I'm also going to bevel this one just because. Right click. Shade auto smooth. Then I'm going to scale this up just a little bit. And I'm going to do Shift Z to where it just scales in this direction. So now you got your little keycaps that you can duplicate here. So I'm going to do Shift D because these are going to be different textures. So I'm going to do Shift D for this. Fill those in. Sweet. Nice. This keyboard is coming along so good. I hope you're enjoying the tutorials. Hang with me. We're almost to the end now. So what I want to do is these two are just basically duplicates. So I'm going to do Shift D in the Y. We can just bring this up GY to here like so. And then I want to reuse our good geometry. I promise this time I won't mess it up. So let's just Shift D and the X and bring this over to this point right here. Let's tab into edit mode, click 3. Grab all of these faces all the way up to, let's do Control minus, just grab these, delete those vertices, or wrong one, delete those faces, grab this and fill it, Alt Z, 1, grab all this stuff, bring it over to the edge, get out of X-ray mode. It looks like these could potentially be moved over slightly on our image. So let's grab all of this right here. See how we kind of gotten off here? So let's just recenter everything here. GX, that looks good. Same thing here. And same thing right here. GX. Money. Sweet. Now we got this thing that would be our key or our little iPad controller thing. For this one, let's just grab this, Shift D, bring it up. Let's put it right where it needs to go. Tab in edit mode. Looks like we've already got that selected from last time, which is awesome, so I can just bring it over. And then all I want to do is grab, starting here. Oh, looks like I moved the wrong thing there. Let's do that again. I don't want to move those vertices. That's better. So now I just want to grab starting here. Let's go to here. Delete those faces. I can grab this right here. We can scale it down to be that point. EZ, F, Control B. You know the drill. Same thing here. Alt and Shift select, Control B, bring that down. Small bevel, 8 segments. Shade auto smooth. And then I need to look at the design. I think it's just another knob. So maybe we could just grab, I can't even remember what goes there. I know that it has this little detailed knob, so let's just do it real quick. Let's go over here, tab into here, Shift S, cursor to selected, add in a cylinder, scale it down like so. I'm going to kind of freestyle this here. I don't really know what this one looks like. I'll have to go look at the picture, but this tutorial is pretty long, so I'm going to try to shorten this up for you guys. So let's go into the back view, and I can just imagine this kind of going inset, EZ, and then EZ again. In the back view, grab all this, extrude faces along the normal. Let's just bring this out like that. And then let's grab each of these edges here and bevel them. And then shade this auto smooth. Let's go into X-ray mode. Let's grab this face, scale it down till it matches that little bead we got there. Out of X-ray mode to Alt Control B. Let's give this a nice big bevel here, just like that. Actually, let's go in the front and see if we have like a front view. I don't think I have a front view, but it'll be fine. And then while we got this here, let's just extrude this in the Z, Control B. Did I have to do right? I feel like that messed up. E, Control B, grab this face, Shift D, separate it by selection, grab it, GZ, bring it up, tab into edit mode, scale it to fit, extrude it in the Z direction, Control B, and then let's add that little circle inset there because that's really nice. I to inset. And then instead of trying to move it over, let's do GY and then S and then rotate this around the visual origin. And let's try to rotate this onto here. Nice. And then I could just extrude this along the normal. Grab that and that. Oops. Come on. Being ornery. There we go. Just give those both a little bevel here. 8 segments. Nice. You can fill that in if you want. And then the last thing we're going to do is create this piece here. So I'm going to go right in the center of this, Shift right click, Shift A, mesh cube, scale it down. You know the drill. You watched me fumble around with it earlier, but put it right there. GX looks like it needs to come over just slightly. All right, let me think about my order and make sure I get this right. What I want to do first is I want to create the hole. So let's do Alt-Z, Control-R, and then bring your loop cuts up until they kind of match. And what I want to do for that first is let's do Control-R, make basically a box around these, just like that. Control-R here, make 2 of them. From the medium point, S and the Y, right around them. And then if I do Control-R here, bring that up until they perfectly meet. Control-R again. Same thing here, bring it until they meet. Perfect. Click 3, grab all these faces that have a hole in it. Perfect. I'm going to go add X-ray mode, I to inset. Let's right click, subdivide. Let's set it to 8. Oh, let's do 7. No, let's do 8. It's fine. X, delete the faces. This is going to be fun to select. Let's go just 2 Alt. Actually, let's do this. Let's grab these. Let's try to see if we can add a vertex group. Let's add a vertex group and assign it. And then X, delete the faces, and then see if we can select it. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Right click, loop tool, circle. On their individual origins, scale it down. Oop, let me do it here. let's tab in edit mode. Make sure we have all these selected on individual origins scale. I don't know why that's doing that. I don't know why that's doing that. Doesn't matter. We don't need it. EZ. Oh, we're on. That's why. Tab in edit mode. Easy. There we go. I was in face select. F, Control B, tiny little bevel. I would go only like 4 segments here. My computer's yelling at me. Same thing, Alt Z. Let's get rid of the bottom vertices here. Control B for bevel. Ooh. Might would have been better to go with 6 here. Yeah, let's go back. Yeah, let's subdivide and let's just do 6. Let's click 1 to go into vertex. Let's click a new vertex group, assign it, go into face select, delete the faces, select these again, click 2, right click, loop tool, circle, EZ, F, Control B, Control plus, get rid of the bottom ones. Period on your numpad key. Oh, we're also doing all these on the bottom. That's why that was taking so much. That's why that was doing that. What we can do is just deselect all the top ones real quick. And then out of X-ray mode, Control plus or minus. Let's just go to the bottom. Let's grab all these in a bottom view here. Delete those faces. There we go. Now it won't be so lag heavy. So now let's grab these, Shift G, select similar area, Control plus to get back up to our top one. Into the right hand view, Alt Z, click C. Make sure we're in 1 for vertex selection, and then just get rid of all of this. 2 out of Alt Z, Control B. Now it's acting normal. Let's give it 6 segments. Let's go 8 actually. Bring it to right there. Right click, shade auto smooth. We got to bring them all down to be the same level as these other keycaps. So GZ and just bring it down. We need to get out of X-ray mode, grab each of these corner edges for our bevel. Just bring that back until you see it match another one. And then we're basically going to click 2 and Alt and bevel this top edge. I'm just going to use Control to select all the way around. Oops, not there. Match that bevel right next to it. We can go 8 segments here. Nice. GX to move it over slightly. And congratulations, you have created a super complex product design. We're going to do tons of other stuff in the other videos just to kind of get us excited about where we're going. Also, what are all these? Let's grab all these cylinders. Apparently I messed that up. From here until here. We can just grab all that. Let's move that into our knobs collection. Doesn't really matter. But then this right here, we'll just make a new collection in here called speaker. I'm assuming that's what that is. And just move this into here. Our reference image up. Now you got your model. This is where I have my camera set up. So real quickly, let's hide our reference images. Let's go over here. Oh, we forgot to do this. This is the base of our speaker. Let's just bring this up to the bottom of the keycaps, just like so. And nice. That is a super awesome 3D model. Like I said, pretty high poly. We could go through and do a lot more less high poly if you wanted to, but I do want to do some up close shots on this. So what I would do now, just to show you what we're going to do in the future, is I'm going to go into the model. Let's just add in the model collection an empty. So Shift A, empty cube. I'm just going to GY. Let's do Shift C to bring the center of our cursor back. Alt G to put that there. And then let's just scale this to be right around our product. And then I'm going to do Control I, Shift select that, Control P, and Object Keep Transform. And so now this will just be what we use to animate. So if I do R and rotate this, I turn my camera on. We throw a little camera view over here. I like to keep my camera focal length pretty high, like 185. If I just bring my camera back, like so, throw this into rendered view. In the front hand view, let's just add in a light. Let's kind of make it a backlight, bring it over, 1500. Scale that up, Shift D, just kind of set up some 3-point lighting right here. And check that out. Looks awesome. And we would add in, another light as like a fill light, like 250. Scale that up a little bit. And make this like 100 maybe, darken that up. We'll go through all this in the future. But nice, you have now made a super amazing looking 3D model. In the next videos, we'll go through and do some texturing and some animation. So I hope you've enjoyed and learned some stuff from this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. And with that, we will see you in the next one.